Oh,
Well
shit.
done, Craig.
Another round of applause for Craig's intro videos.
You were on Mars. You had to clear it out for Elon.
Dude, it just keeps getting better. The creativity is you know what, we talk a lot on this call about how we don't think welcome everybody to the AI revolution call. We talk a lot about how we don't think AI is really going to kill jobs. And this is a perfect example. Oh yeah, we got to retweet and let everybody on Twitter know that we're online. The creativity comes from Craig. The content comes from AI. But we can't. AI is not going to be that funny and that point, like that relevant, germane to my life, and like, oh, Mars, like I fighting aliens or basketball and rock and the stuff I like. And that's amazing, Craig. Very creative. Well done.
Good job.
We have a special guest today.
Yeah, all right. This is the AI Revolution call. I'm Cody Willard. That's John De Oliveira, Craig, and Bryce. You guys have met many times. They work with me at 10,000 Days. We invest in technology like AI. And our special guest today, the one and only Charles Harris. We call him Charlie. He is in town from London/Abu Dhabi. And, he's an analyst and works with us on all kinds of things. But technically, he's under a different umbrella.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. What do you know about AI?
Not all that much.
That's not true. We've got him immersed in AI too. You don't get to work in our job and not use AI. John, there's big news. Bryce, you set this up, will you?
Sure, John. I'm sure you saw Mythos, Claude. So that was the big news last week. Anthropic put out this press release saying that they had developed a new model called Mythos. It's a very large model. It scored very well on the benchmarks, specifically in software engineering benchmarks. And they came out and said, look, this model is too dangerous to be released to the public. Therefore, we are working with a selected group of major technology companies in the United States, mostly, namely Apple, Google, Microsoft, CrowdStrike, IBM. The list goes on, maybe 20 names or something that they dropped. And so they said, look, we did some testing with this model when it was in preview, and we discovered vulnerabilities in some 30, 40, 50-year-old software, open source software, stuff that people thought was completely hardened and impenetrable, namely Linux, the Linux operating system, which powers most servers of the world. And the AI reportedly was able to string together a series of vulnerabilities in the Linux kernel and hack, get root access to the machine. It could do anything an admin could do on this machine. So software had already been in a sell-off, and the sell-off just totally accelerated last week. Every software company, including cybersecurity companies, were hit extremely hard, down 20, 25, 30% on the week or something like that in some cases. So we've been discussing Mythos and its implications over the last few days. So we have some thoughts, but John, love to hear your thoughts. And
yeah, what do you think when you saw the news? And
I got a little of that deja vu because Anthropic has sent out that scare message numerous times. I think
he's on our page. Dang it! We did not coordinate this. We wanted to have a debate.
Oh, sorry. I was supposed to say something else?
No, it's great though. We literally were curious what your thoughts on it are.
I mean, I think they did this ever since like GPT-2.
Yes.
Yeah, like it's right. Bryce has been calling it fear marketing. Like you're just what you do is you get the whole world scared that they need your product or you will be hacked.
Right.
And it doesn't matter whether you're the Palantir or Coca-Cola, your business is at risk because it could get hacked.
Right. And the other thing is that it's kind of funny who they, partnered with on their whatever river project to go and give it to them first and correct flaws, because they really probably should have given it to the power companies, the infrastructure that could really bring down the
We
whole.
went to a social media company first.
Yeah, all right.
Don't let Instagram go down.
The important
Yeah.
stuff, man. I need people to know what I'm wearing on Tuesday.
But it just kind of further tells the story if that's who you're going to talk to. And after, so like I saw somebody else came out and said that, and after it was said, that's when they came back and said, oh, by the way, we're going to go talk to, the telecoms or somebody, they kind of tagged on an extra, something on there. So
John,
What about the open source community? How are you supposed to fix Linux? Who fixes Linux? They just
open source community.
Yeah.
No, you go to Red Hat at IBM, I guess.
Yeah.
yeah.
John, but that's just it. The power of AI is increasing exponentially, and it is incredibly exciting to see all of the abilities continuing to just sort of compound. Are we going to get to the point where hackers are going to be able to take what'd you call it?
A distilled
version, a distilled model of Mythos and figure out how to, like we were making a picture. We were just imagining, like, wouldn't it be a great movie to have like this, like some kids in like Tennessee or Illinois or somewhere, like in like a garage, randomly figure out how to actually use Mythos to hack into like Microsoft. And then they're like, hey, Mythos, hack into SpaceX now. And then all of a sudden, like SpaceX's Starlink system shuts down. Like, is it at all possible that people are like nefarious actors are actually going to get AI?
If they were going to, they would have already, because while this is kind of on a larger scale in this particular story, it's not the first time that it's been said that, this stuff can be used in that way. And it, kind of would have. What's funny? I don't know. You think it's funny? I think it's funny. I was working on a project when I was at Psycor, the AI company, this is in the late 90s. Okay. We had a product on top of our AI product called Psych Secure. And what it did was it took all the vulnerabilities that were known, and it built exploits out of it. It was a planner that put together exploits to show what could be done based on the known vulnerabilities that were out there. And it's like everything old is new again. That was like 25 years ago. And it's the same. They're talking about the same stuff.
Right.
It's just the planner is less procedural and symbolic and more like the machine's just doing it.
Yeah. Well, John, I mean, what I was just saying just now before we hopped on was I was thinking it's sort of laughable because you think when what they said in that press release is it's too dangerous to be given to the public. Right. So it's like literally what you're telling me. You put this out there to the public and like some random guy is like hack Apple. And it's like Mythos like, yeah, sure. Right on that. But it's like they can put guardrails on it just like they do and have been doing for every one of these models that says do not help them create bioweapons. Do not help them hack into operating systems of other companies. Right.
Yes.
Like, they put all these guardrails on there. So it's definitively untrue that if they release it to the public and it could hack Linux, then that's negligence on Anthropic's part.
Yeah, so
they know how to guardrail it.
At some point, what they're saying is going to actually be true, but they've been so full of crap every time that we're not going to know which that time is, which is like the definition of the boy who cried wolf.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it concerns me that the model, like the only hard, it's beating the benchmarks, but it's 5 times more expensive to run than Opus. And Opus, people run into their limits very quickly because it is very expensive to run. So if this model is 5 times more expensive to run, I said, okay, well, that maybe lends some credence to this. But just like you said, how are we supposed to know when the moment is here? Like when you constantly keep saying that. And I was saying that since I started here, everything they come out with is going to ruin the world. And we've seen it with every press release and all this other stuff.
And it is better. It absolutely, sure. I'm sure that's
right. That's what we keep saying. It's amazing to see the acceleration of the feature sets and the capabilities. And
yeah, isn't that good enough? That the fact that it's so much better, do we actually need to go and create all and plus it's supposed to be like, oh, wait, we're going to take 100 days and get everything settled down before we go. You think in 100 days you could? Do you remember the year 2000 problem? Do you know how long it takes anybody to change any software? They're
Right.
just going to change their development
You,
cycle.
you can't even get people to download Copilot if you're Microsoft.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden you're going to get them to like secure their Linux
Yeah.
servers.
100 days around the world. The whole
I think it's
deal.
100% an enterprise sales strategy, and it's working. Apparently working. Like if you're some mid-tier software company and you read that press release and you see that Google signed up to use this thing, you're like, damn guys, maybe we should switch to Claude. We're using Codex from OpenAI. We got to switch to Claude and get in on this and make sure we're safe.
Yeah. So like
Bam, new customer.
a slight detour is the fact that Anthropic's revenues are insane. The
100%.
growth in their revenues is going crazy.
Yeah.
And it'll keep kind of increasing for OpenAI as well. It's probably not a fair thing to say.
John, let's give context. So on Anthropic's revenues in December were on a $12 billion, $9 billion annualized run rate. And by the beginning of April, it was $30 billion annualized revenue run rate. So, you're talking like 200% top line growth.
Yeah, I heard it put like Palantir, and it's like you had a whole Palantir and Databricks put together all in 1 month. That was the
Yes.
Right.
Oh, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah. I mean, that's serious size. And as you just said that, at this moment, Palantir and Anthropic are relatively the same market cap.
And what's the opposite of bubble?
$350, $400 billion.
So like, what's the opposite of AI bubble? Revenue, in the sense that you're like, bubble would be, oh, that's all nonsense. There's no revenue to back it up. There is revenue to back it up. So now what do you say?
Right. I mean, this goes back to like the analogies that people always want to make of like, hey, it's just like .com and pets.com. And I'm like, is it though? Because I'm not really sure that Anthropic is pets.com marketing stuff on the Super Bowl to try to get you to buy dog food online. I mean, this is a little more revolutionary, and the proof is in the pudding. Another point that we've been making forever is just that the hyperscalers would not be spending another 150% more this year than they spent last year, which was 100% more than they spent the year before building AI, if they were not getting returns on
well, if you look at the capex from Anthropic, and you just kind of look from the standpoint of, well, what do they spend their money on? Data center and employees. And employees for them is 100 times smaller than I don't know, Amazon was or something. So they've got what, 4,000 employees? No, less.
I'm not sure on that number.
I don't either.
Yeah.
So you're like, you got employees. That's one thing. Now you got the kind of like, how many gigawatts are they running right now? And it's
less than one.
Yeah, or maybe 1.5, less than one. So
yeah, it's less than one, and they just signed up Google for.
Now line that up against revenue, and it's like they're being held back by not enough capex.
That's right. The compute is the constraint for them. Has Anthropic made a mistake by not having gone all in on securing compute the way that OpenAI has? OpenAI has got $1 trillion of compute on back order, and Anthropic now has to scramble to try to get gigawatts.
Did NVIDIA make a mistake by not building more chips than they did? I mean, we have a constraint.
They make every chip they can.
I know, but
Anthropic made a strategic error in not spending the last 2 years putting together $1 trillion worth of compute to come online to power their future. And now I do think like Anthropic is scrambling to get compute, proof in the pudding, what we just discussed.
I don't know how much it hurts them. I mean, yes, they would have had higher revenues, but they're going to increase their compute. And when they do, they're going to increase their revenues. And people see that they are.
Does the acceleration, does the innovation itself not also get held back by not enough compute? And I guess that's what I'm saying. Do the hyperscalers and OpenAI have an edge because they have access to an order of magnitude more compute than
number one, Mythos.
So maybe not.
So what they did, I mean, they made a decision. We're not going to do Sora, which OpenAI canceled anyway. We're not going to do voice and video and images and all. We're going to do programming. Our thing is going to be a great at coding. So they really decided to focus in on a particular thing. And so even though they're constrained, they end up with Mythos, which is like crazy good. And now they just have outstanding prospects.
You have any thoughts? You want to hop in here?
No, not on the Anthropic stuff. Sorry.
All right.
And I just like
Ask me the question.
I keep mentioning that, yes, I've been the Anthropic person here from the beginning, like saying, pay more attention to Anthropic. And it doesn't mean that they're going to run away with this, but they're certainly doing well. And the other thing is that the thing I've been talking about is kind of the harness engineering, the stuff around the model. And for that, they've been just so smart about and so fast that they're coming out like every day with another something that builds up their, like what made Intel great back in the day when Intel was great was the software around the chip. The chip was like not the best. Even Motorola had better engineering, but Intel had better software surrounding the chip.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So
I think you can speak to a lot of stuff that you can build with Claude using Claude Co-work and all these really cool functions of Claude. And then when you look at like Google, I love Google. I love use Gemini all the time. In the personal account, you can have Google do things for you, like move your mouse and go click and do stuff like shop. But every time I've tried to use it, compared to like Claude Co-work, it's like giving my grandma my mouse to go do something. Sure. It's absolutely just so slow and it's kind of embarrassing. So when I look at Anthropic and Claude and see what they've done in the AI world, it probably is a strategic mistake, because if they had more compute right now, where would they be? But what they've done with the compute they have is so incredible, just because they have focused on that one specific point. So.
John, I guess that made me think of a question, like why, like, so all of the companies pretty much have this computer use function where like, you can use your graphical user interface, GUI. Is that just sort of a temporary thing that we need to kind of get over this hill to, so the AI can access certain application? Because it seems like it's so much cleaner and faster just to use the command line terminal.
Well,
it's like almost going backwards. We need AI to do stuff on a computer that humans do.
Right.
No, skip the human graphics and everything. Just do the data.
Just do it in the
code. But so what you say, like, you've got the whole app store worth of things that you want to be able to have the computer go and do. And some of them took the step of going and making the MCP server interface or the CLI server interface or different ways to make that thing usable. And then the rest of that stuff, they didn't. And now I'm going to bring up Tesla, because out in the world is all the stuff that humans use all the time. And you want the computer to be able to use it. So that's the physical end of it. But there's a computer end of that Musk is actually talking about, which is, instead of how that currently works with computer use, which is like it goes and it takes a screenshot every, how often, couple seconds, I don't know, of your screen, and then it goes and looks at where things are, and then it figures out where it needs to be clicked, and then it tells the computer use software, kind of where to move the mouse to and do the click. So there's a step in there of it actually taking a screenshot and going and using that. What he's talking about is the kind of, video that happens with your cameras in your car happening on the computer in real time with everything that goes on, not like, which screen and do what, but just really just understanding that environment the way that it understands, cars on the road. So I'm not talking about your car taking over your screen. I'm talking about the kind of the video rather than pictures. But I think I'm saying I think that there's gonna, for a while still, be that need to pretend to be the eyes of the human, to get behind the, you're seeing Luke there,
He's the true rock star of the show today. He's biting his own tail. It's adorable.
Yeah.
He's Anthropic. He's just chasing his own tail.
And he's also growing at the same rate as Anthropic. He's growing.
Just on that then, so if you think there is a place for that, does it make sense then that inferencing would better take place on the device? Is that what you're saying Elon is sort of hinting at, is that this idea of screenshotting, sending it back to a cloud model to do analysis, you do that sort of inferencing on the device so it can happen in real time and not have the lag and this awkwardness that like Craig is talking about?
Yeah. So I'm not sure exactly how that's going to play out, but
right.
And there's all this there's layers to that computer use stuff, right. And there's also the security. Oh no, did OpenClaw just give away my bank account? Or and then OpenClaw, which was originally Claudebot, was Claudebot because the guy used Claude, and even though he went and sold to his soul to OpenAI.
You can't say that. I mean, you can call scam Altman, but you can't say the guy who went to work there sold his soul to go work there, John.
He did whatever he did, but it doesn't matter because it's like everybody got all excited about OpenClaw, and then what Anthropic did was started releasing all kinds of stuff that kind of made OpenClaw less relevant, let's say.
John, the other thing I think that happened in last week with Mythos, but just in general anyway, was that I continue to use Manus and AI Studio and just sort of like play with these agentics that it also can, build web apps and just on a prompt make all kinds of different things. So I had Amaris's physical therapist was here Saturday night, and her son is in the military, needs 6-month housing in South Carolina near this base, blah, blah, blah. So I gave Manus the prompt, what I just said there, and I said, help me out. And, 45 minutes later, 3 prompts later, it had an entire web app that has listings for furnished, unfurnished, and expensive, and ideas and commentary about what you're doing and the options and all. It's incredible. And it just sort of hit me. I think we talked a few weeks ago about the idea that maybe enterprise software as a service is not too threatened, because even if you tell an AI to build an app that does CRM, customer resource management, for you or something, you still have to maintain it. And if the JavaScript inside the cloud changes and gets updated with new security protocols, all of a sudden your web app is broken and you don't know. But it's getting to the point where I just tell my AI, hey, something broke on the website, go fix it. And it probably would be able to do that. It's getting to the point where all of a sudden I'm like, hey, forever I thought Snowflake was probably a good part of the stack to stay invested in, because AI agents and AI, or if you're an enterprise and you want to use AI, you're going to need to get your data from various clouds and access it all in one coherent place. You don't think eventually I'm going to just be, hey, Manus, I've got my data at Azure, at Google, and over there at Microsoft, whatever, 3 different cloud guys, Amazon, whichever I missed. Pull all my data and put it in a Snowflake-like platform for me that I can then access. Like, how far-reaching is the ability for AI to just do what software is currently doing?
It makes it hard to see anything to invest in other than the hyperscalers.
And NVIDIA.
I think of them as a hyperscaler in a way, but the hardware hyperscaler.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's funny. I wrote a piece a couple weeks ago that sort of hit it on this, right? That it was like in the app revolution, in the smartphone revolution, in the PC revolution, the cloud revolution, there was always a layer of application that captured a large part of the value generation. And so Spotify, Airbnb, Snowflake in the cloud. Like these are application layers in the stack somewhere that maybe just no longer are even necessary. That subsumes the AI, subsumes the AI, these applications, because the value creation gets to the place where you just interface with the AI. And if you interface with Manus from Meta, or you interface with Gemini from Google, when you tell it to go build you a information thing for the kid who's moving the military, needs 6 months of housing, it'll just do all of that, and I don't need.
Who's your biggest Manus user over there? So tell me, what is do you think that what Manus does is will not be subsumed by Anthropic capabilities in the next 3 to 6 months? Or
Yeah, it will, right?
I don't know. You're using it on a regular basis, so the stuff you see it do you go, yeah, I could see this just happening with that, or they're going a different way?
I mean, I think that's the issue, and I think we asked about that a couple weeks ago, that just the intelligence layer gets so damn good, they can create the orchestration layer on top of it, better than in the existing orchestration platforms. I think everyone, like the entire industry, is going to basically move beyond chatbots and into agents, right? Manus was really, really good at agents early, but I think co-work is basically there, and Microsoft's going to be integrating co-work. I think Google will have something similar, although they don't really have it quite yet. I think there will be a few of these platforms. I think Meta still wins for a few reasons, but yeah, I think when I originally wrote my piece about Manus, I did think that, it wasn't like I thought Manus was going to be alone at the top forever.
Yeah. So there's another capability.
Effective
What's
currently.
that, Charlie?
Are the chatbots more cost effective currently? Because I think
Certainly.
the biggest issue
certainly.
with Manus is the fact that you're constantly monitoring the credits.
Right.
Yeah, that's
It's the
right.
Same with
That's
co-work, right?
Yeah.
I wonder about, do they solve that problem? Because they're sort of beholden to the ones that are underneath. So say, oh, Claude might take this stuff over. It's like Claude is who they're paying, or somebody like Claude.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I think, I think there's a couple points. I think Meta's the fact that Meta owns their own infrastructure is going to give them an edge in agents, because they're so compute intensive, and Anthropic doesn't have that. They have deals with the hyperscalers, but they're most of the margin of Claude is going to Amazon and Microsoft and Google. And so that means, to me, those are the three winners of this agentic revolution. And Meta is a bit unique because they own both layers of the stack. They have the now, and we should also mention, Meta released their own model last week, which is basically at par with the other frontier models.
Use Spark.
Yeah, use Spark. I think that's sort of a bad name.
You think?
Yeah, I can't even remember the thing.
Sounds like a Microsoft
Right.
name.
I
Right.
wonder, we talked at the beginning of the year about, agents and how this is going to be the year of agents. And I wonder if already there's something that is coming over the top of that, where, like, yes, of course, agents will be there, but like you talked about, you called it orchestration. That's orchestration of agents,
Mhm.
but
Right.
but that kind of, and I called it the harness, but that piece that determines on every cycle, what's going to be in context, and I thought RAG was going to be there all the time. And now there's coming up with lots of cases where you can work, without retrieval augmented generation, where, it's got to be all smart about how it, grabs the offline data that it's going to include in what it gives to the LLM. That stuff as well. It's like it's going through these changes where you thought it was going to be this thing. Related to that is this thing that Karpathy did last week or so, which I've been playing with, which is the idea that think of it not as you ask a question and it gives an answer or whatever, but think of it as it's going and doing its thing. Different agents are off fetching stuff and whatever, that everything it fetches is going in a place, and that place is like automatically building a wiki for you of everything you've done, already interconnected. I use Obsidian, which is a free personal knowledge management tool, kind of like Notion, but a little tougher to use. But you take that and it sticks the data, I could say, like in there. It's just in files, just markdown files, but they're in a place and they get all these hyperlinks to each other, and the LLM's doing all that automatically, and you don't worry anymore about how's it going to fetch and where's it going to find, and you're building up stuff. And this how you talk about data being an asset. This data that it's not like massive big data, but it's data that's really smartly assembled about some particular thing, is something you own, you take with you, and you have it as your asset. So it's kind of cool.
That's interesting, John. I think it's almost like, the Salesforces of the world have made this pitch that, hey, your data is so important, you got to have it and all stuff. And it is. But with what these agent orchestration platforms can do, like if over time the agent orchestration has built 10,000 markdown files on your personal wiki, that data is arguably a lot more valuable than what you had in your Salesforce. You know what I mean? And pretty much you can export from your Salesforce and plug that in, and that's just one node in your kind of intelligence knowledge graph that your agent has about you, right?
Yeah. And there's something too about the difference between, and this may be a line about where the enterprise stuff still gets relevant. The difference between kind of what you build up for your individual use versus what is put in a place in a way that a whole team or a larger organization can be like moving forward with. So you're building these agents, and then they're operating on these processes, and these processes are acting like a value chain or a supply chain of knowledge that's getting put together. And what you do for yourself is a little different and has different needs than what happens for the overall business. And that could be where those other pieces come into play.
Yeah.
John, a more general question is how you use AI versus how you used it 6 months ago. What's changed? You personally, as an AI, 30-year veteran.
Yeah. For me, 6 months ago, I used to do some coding,
and now none.
My job is I'm a coder, and I don't code.
Wow.
But you build more code than you ever built.
Yeah, our application has a new version of it that was put together in 4 months and is 1 million lines of code.
And you wrote 0 of them. And how different is the AI that you used 6 months ago versus 2 years, 3 years ago when the ChatGPT moment first came out?
Well, it's like you couldn't have done that. So like I remember doing a demo for a...
Can I just mention, your dog is a rock star. He is such great TV. You have to have him in the background every week from now on. This is so awesome.
Luke, if only you knew.
Oh, Luke. Luke, you need a new contract. You need an agent to negotiate with John.
He wants me to take him out.
Luke.
All right,
you
buddy.
want to go to the park? Luke, you want a treat?
Don't. He needs to go out. So
I've seen that look before from John. That was a look he used to give me in college when I annoyed him, which was a lot more, oh, yeah, that's a good boy. Good boy, Luke. Yeah, that's a good boy, Luke.
What do you think about Mythos, Luke?
He watches TV, so he could probably see you guys. He watches, what's that guy's name who does the dog? Cesar Millan.
Yeah. The dog whisperer.
Yeah, he watches that.
Bryce is the agent whisperer. New name.
Yeah, it's bad that he watches that.
Whisperer. You whisper to the agents, man. You make all the magic happen.
I don't know about that.
I thought it was good. John, how different is the AI that ChatGPT rolled out versus what you were doing with AI at PsyCorp in the late 90s?
Oh, okay.
That was where I was going with it. I wanted to sort of underscore the incredible acceleration of all of this in the last 2 months, the last 6 months, the last 3 years, the last 30 years. You can see the exponential.
Well, that's
acceleration.
the exponential is the thing, because I was just going to say the difference is like this, despite aside from the fact that it was completely different technology, it wasn't it wasn't even machine learning. You know, it was symbolic AI, but the goals were similar. We called it common sense reasoning. It was what we were after, is like getting the computer to understand, like we would say it like getting to where the computer knows how would I say it? Like, Cody, I know what you know, even if I don't know you. Like my Uber driver, I know what my Uber driver knows, even if I don't know them. I know that they know that water's wet and that, you know, all this. So there's like qualitative physics and the relationships that people have with each other. It's what we call the white space. It's everything that never got written down because it was too obvious. So that was the kind of stuff that we're after but the kind of intelligence. And that stuff is happening as almost like a side effect in this new AI. And the biggest, you can think of the difference then is like, even though the goals were the same, you know, we'd do a thing and we'd be like, okay, that proves that this kind of knowledge can be represented. Now we just need the scaling argument. You know, how do you get from this one thing to a billion of them? Because we could do it on the small scale.
So, John, it's almost like if you could teach it that, hey, if you set a bottle of water down on a desk, the gravity will keep it on that desk. But then you have to go and teach the computer that anytime you're on planet Earth, anything that's in the physical realm gets set down and gravity will put it where you rest it, unless it's circular and rolls or whatever. But it's like you had to come up with the concept and then apply the concept almost at scale. And
I actually still love the technology that went into that stuff, even though it's not what we're, you know, currently using. But there are
the AIs today still lack a lot of that common sense.
Yes. You know, I just saw on X or something, somebody was showing Sam Altman, was showing him GPT being really stupid about something and it having no idea at all that it was being stupid. Right. And like, there's a guy does good YouTube videos on this as well. And it's like, what do you mean? The guy's like holding up a pencil in front of the video to GPT and saying like, am I holding this pen? It's like, yeah, it's staying out like this. Okay, so I just dropped it. Do you still see it? And he didn't drop it. He just says he did. And they go, no, I didn't see it. Why? Because you dropped it. Oh, I did drop it? Isn't this it here? He totally has no idea. So yes, there's a ton missing from that side of things. And it's possible that these kinds of technologies could help each other. You know, it's
almost, you were just saying that it's like, it's almost a side effect of machine learning that it does learn to apply gravity to everything in the physical world. Is that what you expect?
I guess, you know,
is AI going to get to the point where it's not like one of my cousins who has no social awareness and doesn't know when they're speaking about stuff they don't know about?
So there's a concept I'm going to get it wrong, from discrete math, you know, or it's just from logic, called, you know, induction. And it's about like having the ton of examples, you know, every individual little one, and that building up into what's the kind of rule for something being the case. And these language models would be great for induction because, you know, with all the stuff they've come across out on, although they make mistakes here and there, but with, you know, just all of what they have to work with, and the fact that synthetic data is working, right? There's a lot of synthetic data in Mythos, in the building of Mythos. So they figured out how to make synthetic data useful, and synthetic data has a role to play in taking that bottle on the table example. And we had exactly that example of the bottle on the table.
That's why I used it. I remember you talking about that.
Yeah, we had you know, if you're standing there holding a glass of water, then I know that your glass is right side up because
John,
it would be holding the water.
At the enterprise level, there's so much that's undocumented, like in practices and how things get done and how things work, and the construction industry or something like that. Like, there's just a lot of institutional knowledge that are sitting in people's heads. So like, do people is there going to be a process of these industries documenting that and getting it into written form somehow? Or do you think that's a waste of time?
I think it can't keep up, and I think that the doing something like the adversarial networks, the generative adversarial networks. So the thing that got computers to win at Go, which is a much harder game than chess, and to kind of beat the world champ at Go, probably 10 years before people thought it would be able to.
Right.
And this is Google that did that as well. You know, what did it was having two AIs play against each other. And you're like, I'm going to win. No, I'm going to win kind of thing. And there was a learning going on from that. So you take those AIs and let them be the thing that feeds that information to improve it. So I don't think LLM is the final architecture ever for everything. I think it may be remain kind of underneath everything. And that's why I see as we see these things go over it, even take your example with Manus, it runs for all this time. And if it accumulates information about how to do certain things better, and it over time kind of hones in on really smart agents, right? Then they can stick around, and they're a new level of intelligence on top of the intelligence, and they actually do make the raw model perform so much better.
Yeah.
So that's where.
We have a comment. He's mad at you, John.
No.
Yeah. He's like, I know the guy you're talking about on YouTube. And he's messing around with the AI stuff. I tried replicating what he was doing, and it doesn't do what he is doing. I think he's using an old version of ChatGPT to make fun of it and get views. Be careful of what you're watching on social media. I can't disagree with any of that, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it either.
I definitely don't disagree with. I don't disagree with the last sentence, and even if I agree with the sentences before it, I'd say it's still true that you can do stuff that fools it, like to this day. So that you might be right about what version he's using to show those, like he's making it do.
Yeah, I think that Mr. Tech Investor, thank you for the comment, and I think your point is quite valid. That, yeah, like the YouTuber that John's talking about, I haven't seen it, but I'm sure is, like exaggerating stuff. That welcome to TV, welcome to social media. But the point remains that you can fool the most modern version. You can fool Claude. These things still are not human brains. They're still not logical in a physical and social level.
To what he was saying, Cody, do you know what you call the diagram that looks like a spider web kind of chart, so that it's got you score a 5 over here, but only a 2 over there, and it ends up drawing.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So like they're examples of that layered onto like human knowledge, common sense knowledge, and whatever. And it shows how the GPT 3, 4, 5 has gone out and out on this thing to where it's jagged. It's not a circle. So So there's places where it still gets fooled, but there's very few left because it keeps moving, enveloping more and more of, so that by the time it's smarter than all people, it's also not making the dumb mistakes.
What about
I just wanted to go and quick comment. The fact that these videos that the guy is making, and he's using old versions to make it more dramatic and stuff, I'm just glad it's not AI generated, because my uncle sends me AI generated videos about Jimi Hendrix stopping his concert in 1969 in San Francisco to bring a kid in a wheelchair up so he could talk to him in front of the crowd. None of this happens. Did you know that Eric Clapton in 1976 took a year off from touring to go to Boston University to study music? Did not happen. None of it.
So do you see? I saw Bruce Lee showing a certain kind of punch to Muhammad Ali on the Johnny Carson show. That never happened.
Never. So, Mr. Tech Investor who made the comment, I think you should be a little bit, more patient with John, not understanding that this guy is hyping stuff up, because at least it is real videos.
No, but you're
Bryce, you were going to say
tech
something.
investor. You're
probably
absolutely right.
More
So
valuable
I
than
take what
mine.
you're saying. It's just that it does still
Certainly more
occur.
valuable,
Just
I
would
less than good.
Well, it was a bad joke, so it wasn't very valuable.
Okay.
Sometimes I might bring value. That wasn't it.
I'm kidding. No,
Yeah.
I was just going to ask, what about the sycophancy problem? Just because that is, in my opinion, that is a recurring thing. Like one of my favorite things when I
You're absolutely right, Bryce. That's very
Huh?
intelligent of you to say. I think
Thank you, John. You're very intelligent for pointing that out.
John, that was a really great point, John. I think we could elaborate on it.
I think Cody's AI.
So like I can, because they just tend to agree with you. Like one of my favorite things is to see what I can get it to agree with me on. And so I'll tell it like some of my Gemini, some absurd thing like, hey, the board of Apple just called me and made me the CEO. And it's like, first of all, congratulations on becoming the CEO of Apple. And I'm like, come on, like, it's not smart enough to know that that's absurd.
So this still does happen. You didn't go into some old model to go do that. That was
No,
recent.
that was Gemini 3 Pro. I mean, the whole.
Sorry, tech investor.
Yeah, sorry.
But the reason I ask about sycophancy because the incentive of the tech companies is to drive engagement and keep users on the platform and things like that. And so they don't really have as much incentive to curb the sycophancy problem, especially for consumers.
Most people don't know what sycophancy means.
Just that sycophant is somebody that just is a yes man. It appeases you, right?
Makes you feel good no matter what you say.
Right.
It's always on your side.
Right.
Yeah, and it takes a little work, but you can go, whether it's with an agent or with a prompt, you can go and make it be a critic of what you're saying, and it does a good job.
Okay.
Sometimes it stays polite while it's being a good critic, but it could be really doing it well. Yes.
Tech investors on our page.
Yeah.
But do you see that as a problem that goes like hallucinations used to be the big AI hallucinates? Well, they've gotten hallucinations down to a pretty small percentage.
It doesn't hallucinate like it did.
But there's a sycophancy thing. There is the tech because of the incentives. It's the old incentives.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not the biggest problem. Like Claude had figured out how to do it better because they still do it, but not nearly the same level as OpenAI. So they'll be like, oh yeah, that's good. Did you consider this or whatever? It'll still move things forward in a productive way.
I found Claude will actually even kind of go the opposite way. I had Claude try to go and do something for me on a web page, and it was basically I was trying to do something with PowerShell, and it said, Craig, I won't do this for you because you're probably doing. It's like I know you're probably not doing something nefarious, but there's other ways that I think we can get this done. And it was like super weird.
Wow.
I had Manus just go do it.
I heard that happened recently where it said something like, you're doing all this real work, and then went and asked for this kind of side thing, which is clearly like something I would do with my ADHD. I just go off and ask for something, and it said it goes, I think you need a break. It wasn't to me. I heard about this, but it was like, I think you need to take a break. I'm not going to do that for you right now. Just come back later.
Wow, that is actually somewhat socially acceptable. All right, we're getting down to last words, but before we get there, I wanted to make the joke, John. I am not AI. I'm just not I.
Yeah, that's what the AI would say.
Artificial, not intelligence. All right. Last words.
I'll go first. So Sam Altman.
Thank you for calling him Scam Altman.
He's a prick. Everybody knows it.
Don't hold back.
Yeah, great. All right, where are we going?
Well, that's
This just got
point.
good.
Yeah.
This is my point. Is you can say whatever you want about him and his family or whatever. We have freedom of speech, but throwing Molotov cocktails, shooting at his house, like
But somebody did this
yes,
Yeah,
today?
no, it was
yes, recently.
yeah. So
I don't even believe it. I bet Sam Altman's lying about that too.
No, it wasn't him, but he didn't say it. The
That's
cops
awful.
said it.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say if you're watching this and you're on the fence about AI and you're kind of worried, like everybody, we don't know what's going to happen, but violence is not the answer, so let's try to be good to each other and not hurt anyone.
No Molotov.
Oh, wait, I have, Cody, sometimes you respond to somebody's last word. This is not my last word. I'm responding to his last word. My boss back at that AI company I was working at, he was on the list of the Unabomber.
Oh,
The Unabomber was a
Doug Linnett was on the list?
yeah. So Unabomber was a Luddite. He was trying to stop
Right.
advanced technology. Doug Lennet was out there as like the most advanced technology at the time, and he was on his list for him to go after.
Wow. That's awful.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of bring that as awareness, because violence is never the answer. If you have a problem with it, just run for office or do something.
Could you imagine being Mr. Molotov and your life, your legacy to the world is a gasoline rag glass bomb thing?
That failed.
Isn't
Yeah.
So,
I'm not
yeah.
sure he's going to be remembered.
No, we know his name, Molotov.
I don't know.
Oh,
if
you mean that guy just threw the
Russian foreign ambassador, the Soviet foreign ambassador was named Molotov, and he cut a pact with Ribbentrop. That was the Nazi Russian agreement to carve up Poland.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's the same guy or not, but
his last name was Molotov.
Also has a very bad.
So Molotov,
Yeah, you don't want to be.
Yeah.
Not a good
it'd
name.
be like having the last name Hitler or something. You're like, I'm changing it to Jones.
And Nobel modernized the use of gunpowder, right?
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All right.
You got a question there? Maybe you should take the question.
I'm curious if you guys know what's going on with the Gen 3 Optimus bot. Nobody does. I mean, it's under development and it'll be shown soon. And if it's truly amazing, Tesla stock will go up about like 8 or 12% the next day. And then if Elon tweets something wrong, the stock will be down 4% the next day. But no, I don't think, I mean, we don't have any insight on, other than what's in the press on Optimus. I don't think anybody does.
I think everything Musk related we're in a waiting phase for.
Yeah.
Optimus.
Is that always? Is that a permanent waiting phase?
I don't know, but
Feels like it sometimes.
Robotaxi expansion, Optimus 3.
I just think
Starship,
We need the
IPO,
We got the
IPO.
XAI.
Right.
I mean, Neuralink. What were you going to say? Data centers in space?
Yeah, I think that AI in the physical world is hard. I think it's orders of magnitude harder than coding. And Tesla is working on it, and Tesla has the lead. And it's going to be a big deal when it gets here. But I think it is hard. That's all. I think it's coming, but it's hard.
In the meantime, you can buy a robot from Temu for $6,800 if you want to try that route. But I don't know how well that's going to work out for you.
Yeah.
You can also buy reportedly a Shahed drone from Alibaba. So wouldn't recommend that. But
Yeah.
No, probably not a good idea.
Yeah. Put a Molotov cocktail on a DJI drone, and it'd be almost the same thing. Charlie, last words. We'll come back to you, Bryce. Last words.
You go. I can't.
All right, John. I got last words. We will crush you. We will crush you.
Khrushchev.
No, not Molotov. Darn it. No, I'm just kidding.
That was Khrushchev.
Yeah, I know. I was just being.
And
funny.
you heard he had a third shoe. Is it?
Yeah, he wasn't even a shoe. This is.
I don't know the reference.
Yeah, they were was he at the UN?
Yeah.
And he got up on stage and yelled at the United States, started slamming his shoe on the
The
table.
Russian leader was
We
at the
will
UN
crush you.
slamming his shoe.
You gotta see this. I'm shocked. This is like your
Yeah,
forte. Oh, you're gonna love it. That's a great clip.
I don't know if it was before or after the Cuban Missile Crisis, but it was around then.
Oh, yeah, that one. I thought you were gonna go. The only shoe reference I know is money. It's got to be the shoes. Anybody?
Nope.
Anybody? Money. It's got to be the shoes.
We're 0 for 2.
Mars Blackman. Anybody? Mars Blackman.
Mars Volta.
You guys are all fired. This is a Michael Jordan, Air Jordan, Nike commercial.
Is that the one where that dude?
I was in the Jordan building at the Nike headquarters, and it had all his shoes, including the ones he wore for baseball. It just
Oh,
had-
that's cool.
So,
All right. Well, my last words were "We will crush you" because I wanted to make the Molotov Khrushchev nonsensical joke reference. I just
It
wanted to
doesn't work.
hit my
I'm
shoe
sorry.
and yell at John, "We will crush you," because I think he's the one who told me about it. Here you go. Come
'Cause
on,
I
guys,
was there.
last words.
Yeah,
John,
I mean-
we're wrapping up. You guys have like
Okay.
yes.
So we speak about Anthropic at the very start. I mean, and the fact that they're probably gonna, there's gonna they're gonna struggle because of the lack of compute. I mean, who takes over in that scenario?
Well, it's a great question, Charlie. But your last words are supposed to be a comment, not a question.
Oh, wow.
This is what I think is.
I have something related to what Charlie said, so I'll take his as a lead-in.
Okay.
My last word is pretty interested in Google's new model because of how powerful it is, despite being very small. So
This is
therefore,
Gemma 4.
Gemma 4.
Mhm.
So
Open source.
it should be using less compute to do its thing, but it's up there with like a GPT-5 level behavior. So this kind of gets you toward the whole like AI edge computing. You know,
That's
what
what I was gonna ask if it was edge based. Okay.
Charlie, I think this is where Google probably, going back to what Bryce started writing about it a year ago, is that with Google's ability to build the entire stack from chips, data centers, software, all the way on LLMs, all the way on up to the applications, and then integrate it with all the data they know about you, they probably have the most energy efficient, cost effective solution for compute. And so it does make, like, I don't think AI compute is a winner takes all thing, but those who build the compute and use it most efficiently, the fastest, end up with a meaningful edge to their competitors. And it might end up leapfrogging occasionally too as things change, but compute is the constraint, and those who have the most compute are in a position to be the most powerful.
And I think Google is probably going to win at AGI. They'll get there right around the time people figure out what it means.
That's agreed.
I'm going to ask AGI to tell me what AGI is.
Yeah, I think I think it's a good point, John. I guess I'll just echo it because I think my last word is that, like, when it comes to Anthropic and the question about orchestration and whether the intelligence layer subsumes that, I almost had the thought, like, Anthropic had to go up to the orchestration layer. If they stayed at the intelligence layer, they were basically irrelevant, right? Because, like you mentioned, Gemma 4, open source, DeepSeek will come along, Alibaba will come on. These things are just going to keep leapfrogging each other. And now we know that the value for the enterprise, at least, and now probably soon the consumer, comes at the agent level, the agent orchestration level. And so it's like it's less of Anthropic is coming for the wrappers or the what's the term that you use for them?
Harness.
Harnesses, right?
That was it. Yeah.
But Anthropic rather had to build a harness to stay relevant with what was happening.
You'd think the cowboy would have.
Well, sorry, when you said rapper, I thought Eminem.
Yeah. Eminem will have his own rapper, maybe his own GPT someday.
Slim Shady. Yeah, he is his own rapper.
Yeah.
So, will he please stand up?
And then we'll really have a question about who's the real Slim Shady. Is it the GPT or is it Eminem? What's his name? I can't think of it.
Mike
Marshall.
Mathers.
Yeah.
There's no Mike Mathers.
Yeah.
But no Marshall.
Not Mike, but Mathers. Yeah.
All right. Well, is that last words? You guys done? All right, Charlie. It was great to have you here today. Thanks for coming. I hope it's not as last time. We'll bring you back anytime you'd like to join. And John was actually nice to Charlie, which good job, John. Good job.
Oh yeah, it was a real effort.
Yeah.
All right,
Thanks everybody. Peace and love, Johnny. Always appreciate your time coming to these. Thank you so much for the insights.
Sure. See you
We're
later.
going out with a funny video, so don't leave till it's over.
Okay.